Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Wrong and it's by user Pata2010. Am I wrong for leaving my friend without a bridesmaid? I, 31 female, was asked in April to be a bridesmaid for my friend, we'll say Ashley's, 32 female, wedding this weekend. We went to school together and lived together for a year in college. She announced the engagement in December of last year, and I had already planned to take time off for it. When she asked me, she was clear that it was because one of her other bridesmaids was pregnant and due in about a month. It's an outdoor wedding in the Midwest with an outdoor reception as well. Ashley's other friend was already having a difficult pregnancy. I was the most similar in height to her. I said I could do it. Great. The next day, I get a PDF itinerary for the 2 months before the wedding. Bridal shower in X town for Grandma 1. Bridal shower in Y town for Grandma 2. Bridal shower in Z town for future in-laws. Memorial Day party, dress fitting number 3 and number 4 were also scheduled in May. Then we had 2 bachelorette parties. One with her mom's family and one with her stepmoms and half-sisters' friends and families. Also, a final dress fitting. Every single weekend for the past 2 months had commitments and some random weekdays too. I have a work-from-home job. This was brought up when Ashley asked me to be her bridesmaid. Oh, you have a flexible schedule and can work from anywhere, right? Yes, technically I can. So the problem is that I no longer live in the area. I moved halfway across the country. When I told her that it wasn't feasible for me to be there every single weekend, she told me to just come stay until her wedding was over. Stay where? She and her fiance live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Then she brought up a hotel. How much would 2 months in a hotel cost? A lot more than I have. I also have pets. I made it clear to her that I would only be available for the rehearsal and wedding the week of. I did fly in for 2 days for a fitting and one of the bridal showers in May. I was being bombarded constantly in the group chat after that. Over the past month, I have been told I am a bad friend for not being there for her from multiple people. She's been complaining to everyone and even complaining about me to my parents. My mom called me last week about it. But the real kicker here is that Ashley didn't tell anyone that I lived out of state. She made it seem like I lived in the area still. It wasn't just taking 2 hours out of my day to go to a bridal shower. I would have to spend 3 hours on a plane both ways and 2+ hours dealing with the airport and check-in. My mom said she talked to one of Ashley's grandmas because she went to the bridal shower and everyone was shocked to hear that I didn't live there anymore. But they all still judged me and said, "Why would you agree to be a bridesmaid if you couldn't be there?" I was under the impression I was an emergency fill-in for the big day to have an even wedding party. I also made it clear that I wouldn't be available except for the week of. I haven't spoken to anyone about this, besides for one friend, we'll say Beth, who lives in the area. She did not go to school there or grow up there. I met her in college and for circumstances she stayed with my parents for a while and decided to stay there, so she bought a house. Besides for my parents and some of her daughter's friends and teachers, she doesn't know anyone. She's heard a lot of gossip about me though. Trivial high school gossip from 15 years ago. Ashley and I did have some issues, but I thought we were past that. We're in our 30s and both have different lives other than a small town high school. I confirmed with my mom and one of my sister's friends from high school who still lived in the area that these things were being said about me. So I sent a message to Ashley last Wednesday asking about it. She denied it all. Friday night was her bachelorette party and she and her other bridesmaids bombarded me with nasty messages. And yes, our high school drama was about a boy. So I got things like, "You're so mad, Eric chose Ashley over you. She's not even marrying Eric and he's 32, working at Dollar General and living with 2 roommates, so I say we both dodged a bullet there." There were also texts about deeply personal things I shared with Ashley and that she knew I was self-conscious about. I know it shouldn't hurt, but it still does. The last 2 months have just propelled me back to my adolescence, where I was really shy and self-conscious, and I didn't want to be back as that part of myself. So I texted her Saturday morning that I wasn't going to be in her wedding or even be attending. I apologized for short notice. I didn't bring up what she and her bridesmaids did the night before, just said I wouldn't be coming. I got a lot of angry messages and phone calls. She called me names, said I was ruining her life, I had to block her number, etc. So here I sit on a red-eye flight back to my home because I had already purchased a flight before I was asked to be a bridesmaid. I'm going to spend time with my mom and my sister's family and hang out with my best friend. My mom and sister have already planned to boycott the wedding too. I've been seeing mixed comments on Facebook about my behavior. So am I wrong for leaving my friend high and dry without a bridesmaid? Well, it'll be 2 things. 1, no, you are not wrong. 2, Ashley is not a friend. She made it clear that you were basically like a seat filler for her bridal party, and that's it. And she said she understood that you lived out of state and all of that stuff. A true friend, not Ashley of course, would know that you wouldn't be able to attend every single thing because it is really out of the way for you and you just don't have the funds to cost it all. But no, she turned into a Bridezilla and demanded you to be there for everything. Well, she didn't demand exactly, but she expected you to be there, and when you weren't, she started bad-mouthing you. She even brought up stuff that you had shared with her in friendship. And again, she clearly isn't your friend. Now, I think you're doing the right thing, just trying to ignore all the drama. However, if it gets to a point where it turns into bullying, then I would do right by myself, in this case you, and at least try to clear up the situation. I don't know if you can do that through social media or maybe talking to some of your friends, but I wouldn't let Ashley control the narrative. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Stillstorm7432 says, weddings and the BS around them suck. I remember when, even as a bridesmaid, you threw a bridal shower and it didn't destroy your budget, and then you went to the wedding. Now it's an effing circus. And Opie responds, I was really taken aback by the behavior too. I thought my sister was demanding at her wedding, but I had less to do as her maid of honor than I did as a fill-in bridesmaid. And my friend Beth did a courthouse wedding that took 30 minutes, and then we had a bonfire and a party a week later. I will admit, I was already anxious about the dress, heels, and jewelry I had to wear. I'm not used to it. I bought 3-inch heels just to practice walking in. I should have said no when first asked, but I thought a compromise could be arranged, and I did tell her I could only be there the week of. I should have kept my boundaries earlier. Ranos131 says, you aren't wrong for quitting the wedding, but you should have told everyone why either way, though Ashley is a toxic person and not a friend because of her behavior. And Opie responds, all the important people in my life know, and if I'm asked directly, I'll tell the truth. I just didn't want to start drama or make people pick sides. Our circles overlap quite a bit because we come from a small town. My friend Beth has been trying to convince me to throw a party and invite all of Ashley's wedding guests to it, to see who goes where though, lol. And SoftLurk2018 says, she is not your friend. You were her sidekick. You temporarily slipped back into old dynamics of trying to appease the mean girl at the top of the clique. Good for you for pulling the plug. It sounds like the friend circle in your hometown is still stuck in that cycle. Let them fight over trying to please Ashley. She's not worth the trouble. And OP responds, that's a very accurate description of the situation. I was so shy in high school and Ashley was very take charge. It was comforting then to have someone order me around when I couldn't make a decision for myself and would get embarrassed by being in public. No one paid attention to me when I was with her, but now I know myself and I know I've already compromised several boundaries to try to please her. I'm not going to pause my whole life for her one day when I know if I needed help she wouldn't be there for me in any way. Last year, I was in the hospital and my mom flew out just to be with me, and Beth took care of my mom's pets so she could be with me without worrying. That's what true caring and compromise is. I just need to remind myself of that. OP's comment update. Guys, just looked at the weather forecast for here and it's supposed to rain this weekend. She has an outdoor ceremony and reception. Am I toxic for hoping it does rain? Lol. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not wrong and that Ashley is definitely not a friend and OP should keep her blocked. So, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. It's the morning afternoon of the wedding. I didn't want to be around town because I was informed through the grapevine that everyone was peeved when I didn't show up at the rehearsal, so I went to a movie and shopping with my sister and her family today. I am an hour away from the events. Ashley's mom tried to contact me last night, but I just ignored it. She called my mom at midnight last night, and my mom called her back this morning. Ashley did not tell anyone that I was not going to be at the wedding. Instead of just being like, oh yeah, she's not coming, she acted like she had no idea why I wasn't there. My mom told her mom what happened and even showed her messages. I got messages from some of the groomsmen and extended family members saying I was causing drama on her wedding day. I still have Ashley and the bridesmaids blocked. When asked by people in my family, I just told them that I informed Ashley a week ago that I wasn't going to be there. I've sent Ashley a new "a week ago" texts to at least 4 people today. One of my family members was like, I don't believe that's true. She seems really upset. And I sent a screenshot of my last text to Ashley before blocking her, which basically said, I'm done, I can't do this anymore, I won't be at your wedding, sorry for the short notice. I didn't want to respond to messages because I knew that would create the gossip at the ceremony and keep the fire burning, but at the same time, Ashley is playing a victim and straight up lying now. I would have been okay if she played the victim and said OP cancelled on me last minute, boo hoo, but she's straight up telling people that I just didn't show up, so now I'm really pissed. Some people have suggested just showing up, walking, and then leaving. But does she really want me in her wedding photos, videos, etc.? Is that something she'll want to remember down the road? The bleep who ruined her wedding and caused drama? I messaged her sister, who isn't in the bridal party, and asked her what outcome Ashley was hoping to get from all of this. I really want to crash the wedding reception now though. Should I just be crazy petty or just stay away and try not to let it bother me? And yes, it is cloudy, miserable, and raining on and off. Currently downpouring as I type this at 1:15 p.m. and the ceremony starts at 2:30 p.m. lol. OP's comment final update. I think this is a much needed update that everyone will enjoy. I know I did. The wedding was cancelled. There was a full-on thunderstorm with hail during the time the ceremony was supposed to take place, and it was obvious that the garden area where it was to be performed at was being flooded. A lot of people were already calling and asking if it had been changed to inside somewhere. They tried to do it at the church where their pastor came from, but there was already a wedding booked with the actual church as its venue and not just renting out an officiate for the day, if that makes sense. Several of my family members were present for what they described as a full-on mental breakdown from Ashley. She even threatened the pastor. She went on a rampage and people were trying to be helpful by offering their homes as a smaller venue to get married in, and as literally all of the community board members were invited, they even got our town's community building for the reception and said they could just do the ceremony there too. But apparently the community building wasn't good enough for her. Nothing was good enough for her. There's videos of her rampaging and screaming. She also said terrible, awful things about her pregnant friend, the bridesmaid that I was replacing in the first place. A comment of, "Why couldn't you just have terminated the pregnancy and tried again later?" was dropped, amongst others, as like, "I hope your baby is born with all of these problems." When I first heard it was cancelled, I thought I was going to be blamed for that too. But it looks like Ashley hates just about everyone in her life and attacked everyone in front of her, including the groom. I don't know what else happened. My mom and I ended up meeting with the family of ours that came from out of town and planned on staying the weekend already. They gave us the rundown at dinner. My cousin is keeping an eye on Ashley's socials. She hasn't posted anything though. Her mom and her fiancé just made posts about the wedding being postponed and tagging her. Someone said they might even try to get the church for today after services, but a lot of people won't attend that on short notice, even if they are still in town. Very few people are talking about me now, but are cringing at the meltdown over the weather that Ashley had and the terrible, awful comments she said about her pregnant friend. I honestly wonder if her other bridesmaids are still on her side. I know some of the groomsmen aren't. I've been getting messages asking if Ashley was always like this. I think they're trying to protect their bro from her now, lol. And yes, she's always had overdramatic freakouts where you had to write it out and the next day she'd act like it never happened. You could try and talk to her and she'd just wave you off and be like, "That's ancient history." I guarantee you, she'll say that to her pregnant friend too. She'll probably try to show up when the baby is born and act like she didn't wish death and disability on it and try and hold it. I hope everyone else is able to cut her off and doesn't fall back into her trap. I did that way too many times when I was younger. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoys the karma. For me, I think my drama is done and over with. I'm in town until Wednesday and will just spend the rest of my weekend doing fun stuff. Wow, Ashley's mask didn't slip or fall. Karma just smacked it out of her face altogether. Maybe the groom will be doing a double take to see if he goes through with this thing or not. But it doesn't really matter, OP, because it's not your problem. You've moved on from it. So here's wishing you the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. Now after that ending, I don't know if we need a mood booster post, but it's always nice to have one. So let's finish the video with one. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Kid and More. New neighbor didn't like my old fence, so I took it down. About 5 or 6 years ago, I built a fence in my backyard. I talked to my neighbors and we decided on a good place to build the fence. We knew an approximate property line based on some survey pins, but we're both too cheap to pay for a surveyor. We shook hands and I built the fence. It was a great deal for my neighbors. I paid for everything, built the fence, and all they had to do was give me a thumbs up when it was done. Then, a year later, they sold their house. That meant I got a new neighbor. More specifically, I got Anne. Anne was from a big city. Anne was a realtor. Anne had flipped 8 houses in 12 years. Anne loved this new house and planned on staying for a long time. And Anne had a dog. Razzie was a German Shepherd mix that spent most of the day outside while Anne went to work. Razzie was aggressive towards children, animals, insects, and any plants that waved in the breeze. Razzie also, as Anne once told me, loved to chew on furniture. That's why Razzie stayed outside so much. About 6 months after Anne moved in, I saw a surveyor walking around in my neighborhood, and he was paying special attention to my backyard. The next day, Anne showed up at my front door with a stack of papers and asked me if I was going to pay her for the 9 inches that my fence was encroaching onto her property. I explained the handshake deal with the last neighbors, but she was having no part of it. She wanted the fence moved or she wanted money. No discussions. She had spoken to her lawyer friend and was perfectly happy to take me to court over the fence. She told me, "I don't know how you guys do it out here in the sticks, but where I come from, we follow the rules." So I got rid of the fence. The next day, I unscrewed the horizontal rails from the brackets, stacked the fence panels up against my garage, and pulled up the fence post with my work van. About a week later, Anne shows up at my front door again. She wants to know when I'm going to be building a new fence. Turns out, without my portion of the fence, she has not been able to let Razzie out unattended for fear that he will run away, attack something, or get hit by a car. She also told me she can't keep him in the house all day while she's at work anymore. Her furniture and carpet are all but ruined. I told her, "Well, Anne, I'm not going to be rebuilding the fence. I don't want any legal trouble, and the best way to stay out of trouble is to not build a fence near your property." The look on her face was priceless. I thought she was going to cry. She probably did when she got back home. She tried to protest, saying that she really needed the fence back and she would even help pay for the new one. She told me how much she loved the style and aesthetic of the old one. It was just the location that she had a problem with. I stood firm. There would be no fence. She never got a fence. She made half-hearted attempts to put up some bamboo facing, but Razzie tore through that like a wet newspaper. Eventually, I sold my place and moved away. I took the old fence panels with me and I still look at them every day while I let my dog out in the morning. Ah, OP, thank you so much. What a delicious, malicious compliance. Chef kiss. Mwah. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.